It's July and nobody wants to buy a condo in Toronto, while Calgary has been dethroned as Canada's hottest real estate market. Hey there and welcome back to 𝗕𝗶𝗆 Real Estate. My name is 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗱, real estate agent in Regina. That's my trusted assistant 𝗵𝗲𝗍. This is the Canadian real estate market update here on 𝗕𝗶𝗆 Real Estate. We're going to be going coast to coast, Victoria to Halifax, everywhere in between. If you want to jump directly to a specific city, the timeline below is all chaptered up and you can jump directly to those cities. Like I said, Calgary has been dethroned as Canada's hottest real estate market. Maybe you can guess in the comment section below before the city comes up. What city has dethroned Canada is what I think is the hottest real estate market right now. But as always, let's start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. Why doesn't Taylor Swift get hot in the summer? Because she has fans. Give a terrible joke I can use in a future episode. Put it in the comments below. Let's get into this month's Canadian housing market update. After a couple of months in a row of seeing sales improve, we saw things kind of trend back down again. Now, 1 month doesn't make a trend, and there's a lot of seasonality going on right now. That is what was actually mentioned in the Victoria Real Estate Board's press release. They said it's seasonal trends, and it's actually pretty accurate. Just fewer sales and more new listings, more active inventory than there typically is this time of year. The big shift, of course, is the benchmark price dropping not only year over year, but month over month. Now, typically we see things peak out somewhere in that July, August timeframe. So the prices look, unless they trend back up, like they've peaked a little bit earlier, and it's lower than the peak last year, which was about $890,000. The gap in the 5-year sales has started to increase, so we're seeing that slow things down a little bit, but new listings hasn't really started to increase like we've seen other cities, say as Toronto. That's kept active inventory in check in Vancouver and prices where they are. Now, we obviously did see the month over month decline in the benchmark price. That's typical for this time of year. Generally, prices peak out around now. If this is what we saw for the peak in prices last month, I guess that would still be higher than what it was last year, meaning that prices, at least with the peaks and troughs, are trending up maybe a little bit here. Again, have to wait and see. When I'm talking with agents in Vancouver, one thing they did mention is that the quality of the excess inventory that's out there right now is actually fairly low. So yes, there's more listings, but there's a lot of not really good ones out there, making the ones that are showing well and priced well look even better. And that's actually driving more competition to those ones. They are seeing some multiple offers. One agent mentioned it, even on a condo where it didn't have an offer or anything like that, they got 5 offers in one evening. Again, that's just a one-off example, but just saying that stuff is happening. So the good stuff is selling well in Vancouver, but that stuff that's been sitting around, it's sitting around for a while because it's really not that good. When I'm talking with agents in Calgary, one thing they're mentioning is that we're seeing a drop in sales in the more affordable price points, but not because of lack of demand, because of lack of supply. There just simply is nothing for those buyers to buy. 45% of properties are selling over asking right now in Calgary, and I actually expected that number to be higher with how hot the Calgary real estate market is being. Still though, the sales to new listing ratio at 72%, one of the highest in the country. It's the north and east side though, that's where they're seeing the most price increases right now in the Calgary real estate market. I had a friend of mine compile some really interesting stats, kind of comparing this year versus last year. I'm just gonna read through them for you. Months of inventory, down 30%. Active inventory, down 20%. Chance of selling your house increased 24%. Days on market is down 37%. New listings are up 3%. Sales this past month though were only up 10% over my 5-year average. That's actually the second slowest month for sales in Edmonton all year. It's been up 30, 40, 50% for good portions of this year. It does feel like the Regina real estate market is slowing down, and that is typical for this time of year. Usually sales activity peaks out in June and then tapers off the remainder of the year. What's going to be really interesting though to see is what happens with inventory. Generally, it increases all through the spring, peaks out in July, and tapers off for the balance of the year. We saw the opposite this year where it was dropping up until basically the last 2 months, and it's only just creeped up a tiny little bit, well below what we typically see. So is it going to continue to increase, or is it going to peak out in July and drop even more? That's what we're going to have to wait and see. And of all the cities that I cover in this Canadian real estate market update, only Regina and Winnipeg have home prices under $400,000 now. Saskatoon is currently on pace to have the second busiest year for home sales they've ever had. And with 1.1 months of inventory, that makes Saskatoon the tightest market in Canada, surpassing even Calgary right now. And that, of course, is what's pushed up prices over $400,000. An interesting little stat that I was digging through, typically 40 to 50% of all the home sales in Saskatoon on any given month are between $300,000 and $500,000. Right now, less than 30% of the active inventory is priced between $300,000 and $500,000. So if you are looking for a home in that price point, and obviously the majority of buyers are, that's where you're going to see the most competition, the most multiple offers, and the fewest options available. When I'm talking with agents in Winnipeg, they're telling me that the numbers are down, but it feels busier than what the numbers are reporting. And some of these numbers that I've got here from them kind of support that. With days on market trending down now at 23, the sales to new listing ratio, 75%, very strong. The sale to list price has continued to trend up. Mainly they're saying because they're getting even more aggressive in some of the bidding wars they're seeing. And Winnipeg is one of only 2 cities, Regina being the other one, where home prices, that benchmark price, is under $400,000. That's of all the cities that I cover currently right now. The sales gap versus the 5-year average continues to widen in Toronto. And I phoned up a friend of mine there and I said, is it true that there's basically no buyers and that every seller should drop their prices by 50% right now? And he said, oh, for condos, that's actually pretty true. When it comes to single family homes, it's about a quarter true is what he said. Real quick pause here. If you're thinking about buying a house in Regina, obviously I'd love to help you out. But if you're somewhere else in Canada, don't worry, I can get you set up with a perfect real estate agent that I'll handpick for you. If you check out the description of this video, you're gonna see a link to my calendar where you can book me in for an agent recommendation consultation. I'll give you a call, learn about what's important to you in a house, in a real estate agent, and I'll get you set up with that perfect agent in your market. And now let's get back to the video. The condo market is basically absolutely dead right now. Single family home is still doing better, but well below what is typical this time of year. The houses that present well, that are priced well, that show well, those are still seeing a lot of interest. Sellers that are holding out for higher prices, well, they're not really seeing that strategy succeed right now. Interestingly, again, 1 month doesn't make a trend, but the pace of price decline this literally dead right now. Single family home is still doing better, but well below what is typical this time of year. The houses that present well, that are priced well, that show well, those are still seeing a lot of interest. Sellers that are holding out for higher prices, well, they're not really seeing that strategy succeed right now. Interestingly, again, 1 month doesn't make a trend, but the pace of price decline this month versus the previous month actually slowed down a little bit. So we'll have to see what happens next month. Something funny is going on in the Ottawa real estate board right now, and I got to get to the bottom of this because these numbers don't make sense. In the press release, they say that sales were down year over year, basically nothing, 0.1%, but the data shows them down 4%. Same thing when it comes to the 5-year average, they say they're down 7.5%. but the data is down 23%. I'm happy to show you my homework if somebody wants to question my numbers. I don't know what's going on with the Ottawa Real Estate Board numbers. If you're from the Ottawa Real Estate Board, give me a call. Let's get this sorted out. Now, some of the stats that stuck out to me when I'm kind of going through the numbers here, though, that sales have been consistently down about 20% in Ottawa outside of just a couple of months. But unlike in Toronto, they're not seeing a jump in new listings. That's what we've seen across the Toronto area. The active inventory gap looks like it peaked out, though, in March, where it was up 60%. And that's actually continued to trend down, even though the overall active inventory has increased. Months of inventory still remained relatively low. Again, unlike what we've seen in Toronto. I do think, though, prices have peaked out for the year in Ottawa. If we're following seasonal trends again, this could change if interest rates go wonky here. They're down about $10,000 from the 2023 numbers when we hit our peak, which was last month. And it happened 2 months earlier. Last year, prices peaked out a little later in the summer. Agents in Montreal tell me that it's plexes that are actually selling the best right now, while downtown condos are the slowest part of the market. Overall days on market has continued to trend down. And even though there are places that are seeing multiple offers, it's uncommon that they're selling over asking price, which I think is really interesting. Opposite in my market right now. And even though sales are up year over year in Montreal, the gap versus the 5-year average has actually been widening. And it's the worst month we've seen in terms of fewest number of new listings so far this year in a single month. The keen-eyed viewers out there will notice that month over month, the Halifax average price dropped about $50,000. That was mainly due to lower priced homes selling in larger numbers than higher priced homes. I don't like average price, but unfortunately, they don't do benchmark price for Halifax. So that's what I use when I'm talking with agents out there. They're saying that above $650,000, $700,000 price point, pretty sluggish right now. Under $550 doing well, under $450 doing exceptionally well right now. Still seeing a lot of multiple offers, especially those price points. Overall, though, the Halifax real estate market is still seeing homes selling 101% of asking price, meaning the majority of them are selling over asking price. So don't let that $50,000 price drop one single month deceive you. Halifax is still a pretty busy, active market, just not as crazy busy it has been in previous years. If you want to hear my thoughts on what I think of 𝗕𝗏𝗍 𝗍𝗍's updated Canadian housing market forecast, that video is right here. Check that one out. If you love this video, please give this video a like. Hit me up in the comment section below. I love chatting with you guys in there. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to 𝗵𝗶𝗍 𝗍𝗍 to keep up to date on the Canadian housing market. As always, thanks very much for watching.